In this project, I'm going to show you how to add a picture to a program. So I'm going to start by putting using the tool. So if I look on here, there's a tool called Picture Box, and I'm going to put a picture box right here. And I'm just going to use a button. I could use anything, but a button is nice and simple. So I'm going to put a button on the screen that when I click it, and maybe I'll put two buttons. So if I click one of the buttons, a picture is going to appear, and when I click button 2, a second picture is going to appear. Before I start this program, though, I just want to take a look at some of the properties of a picture box. If I go and select picture box, you'll see there's a property that says image. So one simple way to put a picture is to click on image and browse through your project resources and just add a picture through here. But how do I get it to change and have different pictures? And this is where this tutorial is going to be a little bit more advanced. So first thing, I need to add a couple of pictures to my project. Let's go to Google. We're doing a band program. So if I take let's take the Beatles. Because everyone knows the Beatles. So in the Beatles, there was John Lennon. And I can quickly get an image of John. So let's just take this picture. That's a lovely picture right here. View the image. It's quite a large picture. It's going to be a little bit large for my project, but that's all right. I'll save it. It's a JPEG. I'm just going to save it to my desktop for now. And I'll call this john.jpg and click save. And another Beatle was Paul McCartney. And here's a lovely picture of Paul. I'll view this image and I'll save this picture also on my desktop. And I'm going to call this paul.jpg. So how do I add these pictures that I just to my project? Well, to add them, what I need to go is under project, I need to go to the project properties. And under project properties, there's a tab called resources. And what I can do, there's different ways to do this. One is listing the resources up here, and probably one of the easiest ways, I can just take a picture and drag and drop it in there. And I'll do the same. The other is I can click here under images and add image that way. So under resources, you can see there now says something that says lowercase Paul and something that says John. So those are now added to my application. And you can see in the Project Explorer, you can see under resources it says John and Paul. They're in a separate folder. Well, I better save this so it knows the location for everything. So I'm going to go File, Save All. I want to make sure everything is in here. And I'll call this Band Project Spring of 2016 when I'm making this. And I'll say it's saved in Drive H Visual Studio Projects. Great. So now I've saved it, and I could actually go and navigate, and you'll see in there, in my documents, I could actually see in the projects, in the Band Project 2016, there would be in the resources those pictures. Even though I never dragged them to here, because I saved everything, it organized them and put them in here as well. Okay. The question was, how do I get those pictures to display in the picture box? Well, what I do here is in the button event, what I can do is I can say me.image or picture box 1 dot picture dot image. So the image in picture box 1 of me, and so right here, if I look at the form, here's picture box 1. So me picture box 1 image is going to equal my.resources.John. Let's say the first picture is going to be John. So when I click on button 1, me picture box 1's image is going to be the John resource, which I have right here. Let's press play and see what happens. And I'm not going to be happy at first. Watch what happens. It looks like nothing appeared, but if you see my screen, I can see there's kind of a grayish image partly appeared here. What happened is, in the form, this picture box is pretty small compared to the size of the picture of John Lennon. The size of the John Lennon picture was quite large. So one thing I can do is I can go here to size mode and tell it to stretch the image. And in fact, stretching is going to shrink the image. It's going to make the image fit in this picture box, which is, let's say, 100 by 100. I'll make it perfectly square. And in this 100 by 100 picture, when I press play, what's going to happen is now the picture is going to be stretched, or in this case shrunk, so John is going to fit here. Let's do the same for Paul. So in button 2, I'm going to do the same thing, but I want to load Paul. So I'm going to say me.picturebox1.image. So the image of me picturebox1 is going to equal my resource of Paul. And so when I press play, if I click the John button, John's going to appear. And if I click the Paul button, Paul's going to appear.